My chat with Jamie Carragher, and there is only one place to start, and that is with the title race. Jamie, Arsenal's gap at the top cut to 6 points. They've played a game more than Manchester City, and they head to the Etihad on Sunday as well. We'll get onto that game in just a moment and onto Arsenal. But first, a word on Manchester City and that second half performance yesterday. How impressed were you with that? And did it feel like a statement and a message sent out to Arsenal?
Yeah, it did, because I think a lot of the talk going into the game is, you expect City to win, but it's still Chelsea away. And to win 3-0, to win so comfortably, I think that was really ominous. I think if you're an Arsenal manager, player, supporter watching that, it wasn't just them winning 3 points at Stamford Bridge, it was the ease with which they won. And the second half performance is what we're going to really analyse in the show tonight. Felt like there was a real difference from first half to second half, and the intensity that they showed at the start of that second half, they just could not cope with them at all. Chelsea in this game, and you just see the sort of the celebrations, how it was at the end, the crowd there, always perfect for them. That was the end where the supporters were, where they got the goals as well, and it just does really feel like there's momentum really building now behind Manchester City.
In the coming weeks, you'll be looking at your sort of end-of-season awards on Monday Night Football, as you always do. I imagine Ryan Cherky is a player who is in the mix for one of those. What a game and what a performance from him yesterday.
He was outstanding, and I think we've spoken a lot this season, not just me, lots of people who look at the game, different pundits, that we are lacking mavericks, superstars. We lost De Bruyne, but we're losing Mo Salah, and are the genuine superstars in the Premier League right now? And you look how our teams have fared in the Champions League, and we've seen Bayern Munich perform in these last few weeks, seen PSG against Liverpool as well, and it feels like there's a bit of a jump class-wise when you think of some of the players they've got in their team, thinking we haven't got enough of those in the Premier League, and maybe Manchester City have brought one in now. So he looks fantastic to watch. Both feet, goals, assists. He's been a real joy to watch.
He's a character as well, isn't it? He's a real character. Right, so what about Arsenal then? Because my Arsenal fan friends couldn't even watch Manchester City yesterday. It was never going to be handed to them, this first Premier League title in 22 years, was it? But like you say, are they feeling the nerves now? They're feeling the pressure with Manchester City just fully breathing down their necks?
Well, they will be feeling the nerves, but it's normal. They are going to be nervous. They will be more nervous than Manchester City because they haven't got, across the line for so long now. They looked lethargic. Now, also, what you got to say, sometimes when you're playing a team in the early kick-off and they haven't had a midweek game, you've been away in Europe as well, so they did look a little bit leggy, a bit lethargic, and that might just because you've played midweek and then you're playing 12:30. Who knows if it's nerves? We'll see as the season goes on. But it was a bad one for them, and it feels like this has been going on now for a few games. That's the worry for them. I wasn't too impressed with the performance in Europe a few days before either. No, it's a great result to go away in the Champions League and come back with a 1-0 victory. It is a great result. But the performance, again, wasn't great. We saw it against Southampton, OK, wasn't the full team. Then we saw it against Arsenal before that. So, you can make little reasons or excuses. OK, Manchester City are a great team. Southampton not the full team. We won away in Europe. But that, you can't lose at this stage to Bournemouth at home. And also the way they lost. Yeah. It wasn't really that unfortunate. Bournemouth deserved to win.
So what on earth do they do now ahead of this? It feels like a title decider on Sunday, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, because I just feel mentally Manchester City will just have too much for Arsenal if they were to beat them next week. Arsenal don't have to win, but if Manchester City were to win, I just don't see how Arsenal will be able to pull that back mentally, really, because it was such a sort of down, a disappointment. And the worry is this sort of 3 or 4 games that they've had now, how long it's going to continue, because they need to snap out of it very quickly.
How do you see it going on Sunday then?
I'm not as confident as maybe a lot of people saying that Manchester City will definitely win. Arsenal, listen, there's still a tough nut to crack. And the fact that Manchester City have beaten them a couple of weeks ago and how they set up tactically, how they went about it with that sort of front four stopping Arsenal playing, I think Arsenal will have a slightly different tactical plan, how they're going to get out and try and beat that press. So I don't think it's a given or a guarantee.
On the fence, basically.
I think... Listen, Arsenal are the best team in this league defensively, and this is something we're going to get into later with Roy Keane, there's nobody better we can speak to in terms of a title run in, what it's like to win big titles and big trophies at the end of the season, and what the mindset would be of teams. And I think the thing we want to get into is what would the mindset of Arsenal be right now going to Manchester City? How do you go about getting a result? Do you go for it? Do you sit back? What was Alex Ferguson like in situations like that? What was he like as a player? And we can get that insight from Roy later on. But it'd be really interesting to see how they go about it next week. So we're going to analyse a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, that second part coming up at around about 6 o'clock. Clinton, let's get into the title race then, because Jamie Carragher saying there that Arsenal can still respond. Of course, it's a huge game on the weekend, isn't it? If they are going to fight back, what is the message from their manager, Mikel Arteta?
Play with freedom. Sorry, I covered the game on the weekend against Bournemouth. There was no freedom. There's no pace in the team. They were lackluster. The fans were getting frustrated. And I'm thinking, and I understand Arsenal are not like in Man City where they can open teams up because they having some of their flair players are missing. The likes of Eze's just coming back from injury. Odegaard was missing. They missed Saka. The one player in particular who I think they miss is Timber. I think Timber's been a huge blow for them at right back, and they just look like they're nervous. I don't buy this when people say you're tired. You're not tired. Nowhere near are you tired. You're mentally not tired. You're not tired. What it is just they're just nervous at the moment, and they've been in this situation many a times and they never crossed the line. And I know people are talking about them every time they have a defeat. And Bournemouth were outstanding and had a game plan. And I think any other team that's playing Arsenal, speak to Areola because his game plan worked a treat. But they just looked lackluster. Arsenal didn't create stuff. Can they still win the Premier League? Yes, they can. Can they go to Man City and get a result? 100% they can go there and get a result. But at the moment, the form is worrying, and Arsenal fans are starting to worry big time. Because if Man City do go and beat them on Sunday, I make Man City favourites to go on and win the Premier League without a shadow of doubt. And I've been saying it all season. I still thought it was Man City. And then you slowly changed to Arsenal when they have the few of those draws. But now, come April...
You seem to keep changing your mind.
No, I still think Arsenal... They're in the driving seat. Arsenal are in the driving seat at the moment because you look, they got the points on the board and stuff like that. So they're still in the driving seat, but you got to look at Pep's record in April. That is when Premier Leagues are decided. After that international break, you ask anyone who's won the Premier League, that last international break, that is when the Premier League title gets decided. And Man City at the moment are flying and Arsenal are going backwards. And that is why Arsenal fans are worried.
Just on Arteta, I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but What did you make of his words pre-game ahead of the Bournemouth match where he was saying to fans, bring your lunch, bring your dinner? Was he building it up too much? Did this Bournemouth game need the manager to take the pressure off his players? Because they could have extended the gap early before City even played.
If they'd been 12 points, we were talking about it on Soccer Saturday, everyone said it would have been over. I don't think it still would have been over. I still think there was a lot for them to do, but it would have put big pressure on Man City to get the result against Chelsea. I think he was having a joke, wasn't he? Bring your breakfast, bring your lunch, bring your dinner. But they didn't bring any of that to the game. They definitely didn't. And Bournemouth brought everything. They brought everything and took the takeaway and went home, to be fair. They were outstanding. So they didn't bring that. And I think he was trying to make it light-hearted, not to put pressure on his team. But the pressure is mounting on his team at the moment. And he knows that. It's because they've been in this situation and they haven't quite got across the line. If this is the biggest opportunity what can I say? In the times I've been watching it, this is the biggest opportunity that Arsenal have to go and win the Premier League. Because next season, all the other teams will improve and will be better. But when you've had this much of a bigger gap, you have to be converting that and trying to win the Premier League title. It's going to be difficult now because they're going have to go to the Etihad not good form. They've formed, what are they? 1 win in 4 games, nowhere near good enough. And that was against Sporting Lisbon, by the way, who were the better team. David Raya kept them in it. This game that they've got coming up in midweek, do they need it? Of course they need it because they need that confidence booster that will take them into the weekend, and they also need all their players fit and healthy because at the moment, nowhere near good enough.
That's Arsenal. In contrast then, I mean, Manchester City really seem to be enjoying themselves at the moment. One of the first things you said when you turned up here today was just how good were they in that second half. They were so impressive.
They were magnificent. I think, you know what, they were really good going forward, and the attacking players we always praise the attacking players. Let's talk about Mark Gueye and O'Reilly. They're outstanding. Mark Gueye's been one of the signings of the season, by the way, him and Anton Semenyo. But why is O'Reilly in that position? He is in the centre-forward position. And it does help Haaland's being occupied by 2 defenders. But he's been doing this all season. I think that's his 10th goal of the season from a fullback. That's ridiculous numbers. He's an outstanding talent, O'Reilly. And he's not really naturally a left-back. He can play in midfield, but he gets into big areas. I think he's fantastic, O'Reilly. And, their defenders stepped up. And then, it was just a ridiculous performance. And they were so poor in the first half. I can guarantee you Pep had some choice words to say there. But in the second half, that was vintage Man City.
I mean, they had a number of players who stepped up. Obviously, I asked Jamie Carragher about Ryan Cherky there. It was when Manchester City needed something, he managed to find some moments of magic.
He's the X factor. He says he likes to entertain and he's one of the best. What I like about him is he can talk the talk, but he also walks the walk. I used to talk the talk, but I didn't always walk the walk. So I hold my hand up and say I spoke too much, but I didn't always deliver. He delivers. He's an outstanding player. And you heard what Pep said. What I like about Ryan Cherky is he plays at his pace and he'll try tricks and flicks. And he's an entertainer. And we like that in the game. He's at such a young age. And when he's dribbling, he's 100 miles an hour, but he knows when to slow it down. Other players don't know when to slow it down. He makes the game at his tempo. And you know what? I paid money to go and watch him play. That's what we want in the game. We want entertainers. He's great. And I think when he's going to cross, dribbling, and he plays that little ball into Mark Gay. Yeah, Gay's touch is outstanding. But the weight of the pass has to be brilliant. He's a fantastic player. He's going to be one of the signings of the season at such a young age for the amount of money they paid to Leon for him. Top draw.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more, really. It's a joy to watch him play, isn't it? He's so exciting. You don't quite know what he's going to do next with the ball, which is great. It's 10 assists now for Ryan Cherky in the Premier League, and that is the best minutes per assist ratio of any player in the Premier League this season. So he has, I guess from the start of the season, he did struggle a little bit to cement his place in the side. I'm not sure Pep Guardiola talked a couple of different times around how do we fit him in the team because of his work rate off the ball, but also his ability on the ball. And I think that's something that he has improved at this season. His out of possession work is fantastic. It was brilliant yesterday.
Look at this.
But then this, I mean, it's one of those goals where you almost let out one of those little groans because it was just a couple of great bits of skill and then the setup.
Dave, you know what he is? He's two-footed. He was taking corners with his right foot as well. You don't get that in this game. Yeah, you can be two-footed, but you have one strong foot. You don't know what's his strongest foot. It could be his right foot, it could be his left foot. He's a super talented individual. What a great bit of business that is. And he enjoys it. What did I see him? I see something going around where he had a bit of a water and he was trying to flick the water. Yeah. He's an entertainer. Who does that on the pitch? You're concentrating on your game. He entertains everyone. We need players like that.
Yeah, he did fail, didn't he?
Yeah, he failed it, but he did. he said he don't mind failing that because he didn't fail on the pitch, and that's where he's judged on the pitch. But yeah, what a player. I love watching him, and yeah, he's so impressive. He's been unreal. But Dave makes a good point. When he first came in, I thought, would he adapt to the Premier League? It takes time. And then as a manager, I can guarantee you, Pep, he does frustrate Pep. But those players like that can frustrate you because they can also win you games like he did yesterday.
Just quickly then, what happens on Sunday?
Oh. Well, listen, I feel the way Arsenal are at the moment, it's a big one. Arsenal don't need to win it, I think. But if Arsenal do win it, they'll win the Premier League without a shadow of doubt if Arsenal win it. But I think the way Man City are playing, I think Arsenal need all their players, but I'd go for Man City just to shade it on the weekend. And then it's a great title race. It still is a great title race, but it's definitely on if Man City go and beat Arsenal, isn't it, Dave? Because I know they've got a better goal difference, but the way this Man City are playing, you saw it yesterday, he scored 3 against Chelsea in the second half. Could have been 5 or 6. And the big man up front didn't score, but I thought he was a threat, working hard to get back, didn't get much service. But when he's not scoring and you're still winning 3-0, I'd be wary if I was Arsenal. But this, in a funny roundabout way, this is the perfect game for Arsenal. I think this is the perfect game. I don't think you want to play any other team than Man City. And people might say it's crazy. No, because when you've just had bad results like you've had, go toe-to-toe with the team that are chasing you. And if you beat them, you know you basically won it. So for me, if I was in that Arsenal dressing room, I'd be like, bring it on the weekend.
Okay. Love it. Well, a Manchester City fan went viral yesterday for drinking out of an Arsenal bottle. Yeah, he was loving it. Well, we tracked him down today. Here's what he had to say.
This time last year when we played Arsenal at the Etihad, we sit close to the Arsenal bench and me and my son asked for a drink, because it was something we needed. And obviously they passed us these bottles and I never thought of it. We bought the bottles home and just because I like being a prankster or a joker or whatever, because that's what I am really. I'm not, serious about anything in life. So the bottle, I thought, I'll take it to London. If I see anybody at Euston or any of the gooners in North London, I'll just show it to them. Have you got your bottle, son? And the next thing is, I'm at the stadium and we're struggling in the first half. And then I realised they had it in the bag. And when we went 3-0 up, I thought, showtime, baby, showtime. And next thing you know, ping, and I'm not 700 and odd WhatsApp messages.
Yeah, showtime, baby.
Yeah, I
I
like him. That's what happens when I started coming on Sky. My phone was going mad. I said, yeah, it's showtime, baby. I like him. I knew straight away when Gary Neville said it in commentary, like, he's going to be all over and make all the headlines. It's brilliant. He's got his Arsenal bottle.
Just the fact he had that bottle.
I just don't understand how he's took it there. But you know what? He said, I'm going to wait till we go 3-0 up because at 2-0, I'm still a bit nervous. 3-0, the game's over. But yeah, fair play to him. He's living his best life and he's right. He should be enjoying life. He's enjoying life.
Yeah, Manchester City fans, I guess, enjoying life at the moment.
Yeah.
Right, we are at Old Trafford next to look ahead to Manchester United.
Everything at stake this Sunday when the top two in the Premier League face off. And the result will have a huge impact on who wins the title. The gap between Arsenal and Manchester City is down to 6 points, but City have a game in hand, plus home advantage at the Etihad this weekend. Arsenal played first on Saturday. They showed their nerves because Bournemouth took full advantage to come from behind, to come away, with a win.
Well, that makes it very interesting. A damaging defeat at home, just their second of the entire season for Arteta and Arsenal.
The title rivals Manchester City showed no nerves. They strolled to victory at Stamford Bridge yesterday with a 3-0 win against Chelsea.
And that is enough. Manchester City on the march and just when it matters most.
And Manchester City are smelling blood.
This is a massive win with a loud message attached. A swing weekend. Manchester City right back in the thick of it.
And we're also joined this morning by our digital football journalist, Sam Blitz. Good morning to you, Sam, alongside Tim Sherwood here till midday. Right, Tim, just quickly, that result at the weekend, Arsenal against Bournemouth, how much did it surprise you?
It didn't really surprise me. I was on Soccer Saturday and I thought it would be a very difficult game for Arsenal because of the way they've been playing. I mean, they're playing with the shackles on. I think they're very nervous. They've frozen at this moment in time. Still got a fantastic lead. And I thought Bournemouth would go there. And they know it's the biggest game of the weekend. And it'll be a highlighted game. And all them Bournemouth players want to play for Arsenal. They want to play for Man City. They want to play for the Chelseas of this world, with respect to Bournemouth. And the manager, Iriola, done a job on Arteta. Played with aggression on the front foot. And they popped it through them. Thoroughly deserved the win.
So, Sam, should we be berating Arsenal for losing or praising Bournemouth for winning?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both because there are two sides to the story, aren't there? Because Bournemouth came with a game plan and they played that sort of front four press, the shield almost to press when David Raya had the ball. And they just said, well, let Raya have the ball. And what that did, that shield, was cut off the passing lanes to Martin Zubimendi and Declan Rice. Basically, it forced Arsenal into two things. Either they go short into a centre-back or into a central midfielder where there's so much pressure on them, or they go long and they create a 50-50, and that's not what Arsenal want. That is definitely what Bournemouth want, and it's very telling. Both Bournemouth goals came from Arsenal mistakes. So Zubimendi was playing out, and that led to Bournemouth's first goal, and the winner, Alex Scott, that came from Gabriel giving the ball away and coming under the press. And the worst thing from Arsenal is they faced it before in the Carabao Cup final with Manchester City, who also played that front four at Wembley. And Mikel Arteta had weeks to work out how to fix that during the international break because he's got City on Sunday. So he would have been thinking about it, but it was just he hasn't found the answer yet. And it was a plan to almost trap Arsenal from Bournemouth and get that first goal, and that's really crucial. Arsenal have fallen behind 12 times this season. They've only come back to win 3 of them. So if you get that first goal, it sends Arsenal into a very, very difficult situation.
Tim, were you surprised that Arteta hadn't found a way to deal with that? If he's faced it against Manchester City a few weeks earlier.
I'm not sure that Mikel should be surprised that Iriola's gone there and played that way. Man City did a job on them. Like Sam's saying there, they put a front shield on, and what they try and force you to do as a centre-back at Arsenal is try and thread it through an eye of a needle, thread it through. So they're putting a shield on. They're not standing behind the defenders and letting them pop it off to the side and changing the angle. What they're actually doing is saying, go on then, pass it through us. Now, if they do pass it through them and there's success, then they broke the press. But you just see it here. I mean, they're encouraging the goalkeeper or all the defenders to thread one through. They want it. They're ready to pounce. They're ready. They're encroaching all the time. As longer he takes, try and thread it. There you go. That's what we need. And then they're winning the ball back in the final third. They did it time and time again.
And that's where Arsenal miss Martin Odegaard, who does that a lot. He will break off into that line and jump into that space and be the extra man in there. Yeah. And then what would happen is Declan Rice and Martin Zubimendi spin the other side and then become the attacking player and take Odegaard's space. There just wasn't enough rotation in there. In that middle of the park, and you can just see it building over the course of that Bournemouth game, and that's where it brings the crowd into effect as well. And it's much bigger than just a slight tactical tweak that needs to be done. It's a huge part of Arsenal's game.
And it's confidence. They can play through. There's teams at the beginning of the season who have squeezed them like this, and they popped it through them, and then they're in at their back four. But look, it's slow, it's ponderous.
And this is the goal. This is the goal that wins the game and costs a point for Arsenal in the title race. It's just way too easy for Bournemouth to play through.
What about, because tactically there, you've explained that perfectly, but what about the pressure? Does it look to you like the pressure's getting to Arteta?
Well, it was very interesting what Mikel Arteta said before the game. All the headlines were about telling the fans, have a big breakfast, bring your lunch, bring your dinner. And actually, it's happened before with Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Last season against PSG in the Champions League semi-final, Arteta said, bring your boots, bring your shin pads to the fans. And actually, in January, just gone, against Liverpool, he told the fans, you have to get up for it. You have to be in the ground before 8 o'clock for 8:15. Now, look, maybe you can understand that for Liverpool and PSG, but Bournemouth at home... But Bournemouth at home, that needs to be a routine victory for Arsenal. 2-0. It doesn't need a grand sort of stage next to it as well. And that just fed into it. And again, it just fed into that jittery nature of Arteta. And it was interesting hearing Tim earlier speaking about how many steps he does on the touchline and what message that conveys. It was also done in the triple substitution he made just after half-time. 53 minutes.
Very early.
Very, very early. I don't think it needed to be that drastic. He maybe could have brought Eze on just as one, but to bring Max Dowman on, 16 years old for 53 minutes, changing the entire players behind Gyökeres. Did it really need to be that? And you could just feel in the ground afterwards that it had an impact. It was too much too soon. So, I don't know, because Tim, you've been in this situation, haven't you, in 95, where there was a little bit of a wobble with Blackburn before you went on to claim it. How do you then sort of go about changing everything?
Well, everything changes when you win it.
Yeah.
No one asks questions. We never had the foundations to go and do it again. Arsenal certainly have that. So all they need to do now is get over the line. I just think he does put a lot of pressure on himself, but let's have it right. We're talking about a manager who could win the double here. And the two of the biggest doubles, the Premier League. So we're overcritical, but we're only overcritical because of what we're seeing at the moment. And what we're seeing at the moment is a stark contrast to what we saw earlier on in the season when they're blowing teams away or finding a way with the set-piece goals, what they're conceding. They need, I think, the confidence is huge at the moment. We keep talking about bottling. They're always going to be labelled the bottlers until they get over the line. That is just human nature. That is the only thing we can see from the outside which is missing. If they can get Timber back and they can get Calafiori back, I think it gives them that solid base, more composure and it allows the forward players to be a little bit more expansive. So I don't want to be overcritical of him, but I'm only overcritical of what we're seeing at the moment. I just feel he does breed anxiety to the pitch at the moment, Mikel, and I think he needs to keep a little bit calm, and that's exactly how we was in 95.
Yeah, because there is a tactical element into it as well. He has to find that way through that shield because guaranteed that's the first thing that Pep Guardiola's going to do about it. And right now, sort of Pep's showing why he's better than Arteta as a manager right now. You look at Nico O'Reilly. He's suddenly turned into this goal-scoring form because of what Pep has done. And we've seen it before with Josko Gvardiol. 2 seasons ago, he came up with those goals from defence. Yeah, so Pep has the ability to change it, flick through a gear. Arteta, what's his answer to this now? Does he have the ability to really change it within a game in the most important part of the season, which is what Pep is doing now? I think that's the real question ahead of Sunday.
But let's remind the viewers of the reception the fans gave Arsenal at full time. So a lot of booing from the fans on Saturday after that defeat. Tim, when that happens, do you feel more comfortable playing away from home?
I know.
Is there away next Sunday?
Yeah, they are, but I still think wherever the game is, they need to play the same way. They need to have an identity to go and play. They might tweak it next week. Obviously, they're playing Man City, who are coming hard behind them. I think they need to go out to try and win the game. And next fallback to that is drawing a game. A draw would be a very, very good result for them. But I just think they've put all their eggs in this one basket now and not build the game up. No one needs to build the game up. Mikel can come out and say absolutely zero in the press conference. Everyone knows this is a cup final, and they know that if Arsenal win and take maximum points, the season is over. And then he's got an opportunity to look forward to the semi-final of the Champions League and possibly win that. And then if he wins the double, then who's the best manager of the season? Mikel Arteta, not Pep Guardiola.
Now, we've been asking for voice notes, and we can play out a few now. First one's from Glenn.
Of course they're going to be accused of bottling it, but you've got to look at the manager. The manager sets the tone, the manager sets the parameters, and I have to say, Mikel Arteta, you could see him cracking. He's shown a huge lack of immaturity, and that's amazing to see. He's been at Arsenal for, 6-7 years, and, he never, ever learned.
Okay.
Yeah, but Glenn, I was saying to Glenn, he's never done it. He's never done it before, so he's going to be anxious himself. The fans are anxious because it's been a lifetime since there. There's a lot of new fans there who've never seen success. So it's natural to feel that way. If he gets over the line, it's not only will his team be stronger, but the manager himself will be stronger. So it's natural. And like I say, he is one game away. If they win next week, they win the league, in my opinion. It's done. And then there's an opportunity to then win Champions League. I mean, you can't see he's a bad manager then. No. Then all of these questions, all of these voice notes, no more. Mikel will be, thank you, thank goodness for that. Then he can go and do whatever breakfast and lunch and dinner, whatever he wants, because it'll be correct.
All right, well, let's see what Stuart thinks.
I think at the moment everyone just needs to calm down. We've only lost a couple of games this season. The timing of it may not be great, but at the end of the day, we've still got the lead. Big game next week. Everyone's already acting like it's already gone. It's not. We've done well so far over 30 games. We just need to relax and do what we've been doing all season, finding a way to win.
Jay Boothroyd, wasn't it? That was Boothroyd. He's gone in at Stuart. It's amazing.
He's just desperate.
We know that's you, Jay. We know that's you.
Just desperate to get back on. Sam, just a final word on this from you. What does Arteta have to do this week to get it right for next week?
Well, it's a huge week. I think a lot of it comes down to the injuries and who they can bring back, because it's all well and good having a hole in the squad. You can maybe overcome missing one player for Man City at the Etihad, but if you have holes, if you have multiple, if you're missing Timber-Saka and Ødegaard, then that's a huge blow. I think Wednesday night is really, really important for them in the Champions League. If they get through that convincingly, that sets them up really, really nicely, and then the narrative can tweak slightly. But if they go out and then they go into the Etihad with only one thing left on the line, and that's do or die, then that's absolutely crucial. Yeah. And it is probably the biggest week of Arsenal season. Without a shadow of a doubt.
No doubt. Sam, thank you very much. Twists go. This one was a whopper. Arsenal beaten by Bournemouth at the Emirates on Saturday. A day later, Manchester City got a statement win at Chelsea. The gap is now 6 points, but City have a game in hand. And just to spice it up even more, the two teams meet at the Etihad on Sunday. Here's how the weekend unfolded. Arsenal went first, but the nerves soon showed. Bournemouth taking full advantage to come away from the Emirates as 2-1 winners.
Well, that makes it very interesting. A damaging defeat at home, just their second of the entire season for Arteta and Arsenal.
Well, their title rivals Manchester City showed no nerves as they strolled to victory at Stamford Bridge with a 3-0 win against Chelsea.
And that is enough. Manchester City on the march, and just when it matters most.
And Manchester City are smelling blood.
This is a massive win with a loud message attached. A swing weekend. Manchester City right back in the thick of it.
Tim Sherwood, good morning. Right, we saw a Manchester City fan mocking Arsenal by suggesting they are bottling the title. Are they?
we've been saying for a long time, because since they've had the lead, that it's only their mentality is going to stop them. I still believe that. So you're always going to get the fingers pointed at you until you actually do it and cross the line. Obviously, 3 times now they finished second. There's a couple of reasons why they finished second. Well, the main reason is Pep Guardiola and Man City have been too good in recent times. Liverpool on the other occasion. But we're having such a lead, what they've had this season, and strengthening their squad. Yes, they've picked up injuries in recent weeks, but it's only going to be questioning their bottle and their mentality. And it's natural for people to do that, Tom, because it's quite evident they have the top-class players. They have a very good manager who's been progressive in where he's taken the club, but they need to go over the line. It was only 2 weeks ago, we're talking about the quadruple, 3 weeks ago. Now we're talking about, can they win one? You know, they've got a difficult game in midweek against Sporting. They take a lead into that game. I expect them to win it. It's going to be very difficult to win the Champions League, but the one they want, which all the fans want, is the Premier League, because over that amount of games, 38 games, the best team gets over the line. And having a lead for such a long time, to throw it away now would be unthinkable for Arsenal.
How can they change that? If their mentality at the moment is a problem, how can they change it in the next few weeks?
Well, they're going to have to. Their mentality, they're going to have to. I just think the manager needs to take the pressure off them. I'm not sure about... I mean, like I say, I'm a huge admirer of Mikel Arteta, but I just think it's getting to him. You can see in the press conferences. I didn't like the pre-match press conference. I'd just rather he says nothing.
So the pre-match news conference, he was banging the table, wasn't he?
Bring your lunch, bring your dinner, breakfast, bring your dinner. I mean, why? Just say nothing. Just say as little as you possibly can. Just the pressure's on your players. We know that. I know Mikel's probably trying to deflect it onto him, but I would rather them just be in it together and just concentrate on the game. And they seem to be playing. I had my eye on that game at the weekend. They're scared. They're playing scared. And when you're playing a dangerous side, we have to give Bournemouth a lot of credit. They're very dangerous, Bournemouth, the way they set themselves up, because they've got nothing to lose. They've got an outside chance of getting into the Europa League. And all of their players want to play for Arsenal. So it's a great platform for them to go and showcase themselves. And they won comfortably, in my eyes. I just felt they was always under control. They had the game under control. And the anxiety, which is breeding to the fans, but largely because of Mikel's antics on the side. I mean, he doesn't stop. I mean, he's there. He says, the passion, I love the passion, but sometimes you've got to curb it. You just got to take a deep breath and let the players... You've done your work during the week. Let them get on with it. You know, he's like, pressure there, go and get the ball. You know, he's playing the game for them, which I half admire, but I just think he needs to take a step back, because the fans are looking at him on the side of the pitch and thinking, well, he's getting a little bit anxious. We need to get anxious. You see him boo at the end of the game there. You know, the team who have got a fantastic lead going into the last 6 games of the season, you should be booed off by their home fans. But I can understand why, because they're disappointed. They want it so much, the fans, but so do the players, and so does Mikel. They're capable of getting over the line. It's a huge game. Gary Neville says it there. It's a cup final. It is the biggest cup final they're ever going to play next week. If they win that game next week, they can win the league. Gary's absolutely right. They will not lose this Premier League if they win that game next week. So it's down to one game. But I think they need players back fit. I think they need Calafiori back, and they need Timber. Because if they're not creating, not at the moment, and scoring goals at the opposite end, they need to keep a clean sheet. Because a draw is not the end of the world for them against Man City.
So you've talked about the mental side. The injuries there covers the physical side. But what about the tactical side, all right? We can show some clips that maybe teams have worked out how to play against Arsenal, all right? So we've had Kepa. This was in the League Cup final. He's got the ball. There's no one obvious to give it to. He takes ages on the ball, doesn't know where to go. Right now, OK, a lot of people say, well, he's actually second choice goalkeeper. But actually, if we now look at David Raya as well, same thing. Gets the ball now. Normally, Raya's the best at this in the Premier League, probably, all right? Where to go? Look, he's getting closed down by 4, maybe even 5 Bournemouth players. Doesn't know what to do. Eventually gives the ball away because he's trying to force it. So that is a situation where maybe teams have found how to get Arsenal under pressure.
No, Arsenal early on in the season, no matter if any teams went against them like they're doing here, they're playing a front shield with 4 players. You saw Man City do it. Bournemouth copied them at the weekend. Look, the outside of the foot one, it's anxiety. Now all of a sudden that crowd will get up and they'll get, oh, come on. Even our goalkeeper, who's been fantastic this year, is nervous. You see, that's risk football there. But they can do that. At the beginning of the season, they were doing it. They were popping their way through and they were beyond the press. And then the game was opened up. At the moment, when they're nervous, it's like they're playing like a team at the bottom of the league, struggling, to get out of trouble. They need to pop it, they need to trust each other, they need to get back to the basics of knowing they're very good players, looking around the dressing room, knowing you've got top-class players who have managed to get a huge lead in the Premier League at the moment, and they need to get back for the confidence of just saying, you know what's the worst thing can happen? We can throw this league away. But there's a lot of worse things happening in this world than losing a football match. Go out and have the opportunity next week to have one game of football to win the Premier League. That is what is at stake next week.
So you think if Arsenal win next week, they win the title?
Yeah.
What if they draw? Or if Manchester City win, do they lose the title?
No. If Man City win, then it's still up for grabs. I mean, obviously, got a great game in hand. Then it goes down to, we saw they scored 3 yesterday against Chelsea. So the goal difference, I think, is 3 now. So, if there's a turnaround next week when they play head-to-head, there'd be hardly anything in it in the goal difference. But they can't think like that. They can't go out trying to look for the draw. They have to go on the front foot. I believe that they're capable of going on the front foot. Man City's weakness is defending. Attacking at the moment, they can score from all angles. They're dominating games. We see them dominate Arsenal in the cup final. Mikel's going to have to learn from that. And obviously, you'll try and play his best team. Kepa will not be playing. It'll be Raya. But Raya needs to get back to some sort of confidence. He's been fantastic with his hands. But sometimes the anxiety comes when the goalkeeper he started panicking outside of his foot, trying to bend it around one of the centre forwards to his right back is not the way to go. Confidence, give it to play, have a respect for the team or of taking you to this position. It's all about one word, and we're going to say that a lot today, where the bottom end of the division is confidence. They need the confidence, but why shouldn't you be confident? If you've got a lead going into this game, and if you win this football match, it's pretty much done and dusted, you should be confident. The team what should be panicking is the Man City side, but they won't be. And you know why? Because they've got a manager who's been there and done it, and they've got a load of players in that group who have known course and distance. They know how to get over the line. And they know full well, Gary said it there, you smell blood. They smell blood. They know that Arsenal are panicking. When they watch their game back, they will analyse their game against Bournemouth. They will know they will cause loads of problems at Bournemouth because confidence. They're not confident at the moment. They're not playing. They're not firing on all cylinders. They're not scoring the goals at the moment from set pieces, but they're certainly not scoring from open play. When you look at Man City yesterday, the contrast between the first half against Chelsea and the second half, there's one reason for that. The manager has gone in there at half-time, Pep Guardiola, and he's given them a rocket. And he's told them, come on, take the shackles off. Let's get at them. Semenyo, Doku, when you get the ball, don't play safe. Dribble at the... And they took the game to Chelsea and they ripped them apart in the second half. But one man, the manager, Pep Guardiola, has done that for them.
Well, Manchester City fans, we are going to let's continue our focus on the title race and turn our attention to Manchester City, who must be on cloud 9 right now. A statement win over Chelsea, capitalising on Arsenal's slip-up. Right, Tim, you touched on it when talking about Arsenal. Pep Guardiola's title-winning experience may be a lot more important than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's vital. When you're getting chased, if you're Arsenal, when you're getting chased, you look over your shoulder and you see who's chasing you, and you see a team and a manager who are prolific winners of the Premier League, then you know that you have to keep your foot to the pedal. Arsenal have slipped up, and I think Man City is smelling blood right now. They've come into some form. They always do. When April comes around, they hardly ever drop points. And Arsenal are not very good in April. They're going to have to change that trend if they want to win the Premier League. And they've got an opportunity next week. It's at the Etihad. On the face of the evidence, what we've seen recently, you would say there's only one winner in that game, and that'll be Man City. But Arsenal are going to have to prove us all wrong. And they're going to have the confidence in that group of players. They've got a lead going into this game. But Pep is crucial. He's everything. When I did it, we looked at our manager who'd been there and done it as a manager and as a player. And we looked at him. We'd never won anything before, but we looked at him to be the reference. And he kept nice and calm. And he kept us all calm. And he was just one game at a time. And he knew when we needed to play on the front foot and when we needed to take a back seat. It was that experience what I think is vital, and I think Pep Guardiola obviously has got that in abundance.
I'm going to back up what you said there about April, because in the Premier League, Pep Guardiola's record in April, the win percentage is 79%. Mikel Arteta's is only 44%. So that could be a real difference. But I also want to back up something you said there about, you were talking about how Kenny Dalglish was very, very calm. Pep Guardiola, last time they dropped points, he was asked how they should respond, the players, and he said the players should remain calm. Remember when they had that win and he said that they should go and drink cocktails?
And have a holiday.
And have a holiday, right? That is quite calm and relaxing. Whereas we mentioned Mikel Arteta banging the table in the pre-match news conference ahead of Bournemouth. In fact, we can show that now just to see the comparison.
It's an early kickoff, so get up early, have an early breakfast, bring your lunch, bring your dinner, how you say in England, and let's go all together for it, because it has to be a big day.
Yes, so referencing John Sitton there when he was Leyton Orient manager with that quote that he's used there, Mikel Arteta. But why does it help you if your manager's calm as opposed to a rallying cry for Bournemouth at home?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really understand what he was saying there, Mikel, but it wasn't exactly a rally cry, was it? I mean, it wasn't a Churchill speech there. I mean, he was quite calm when he was saying it. I'm not sure he needs to try and rile and get the crowd on side. They're on side anyway. They know that they're very close to achieving something they've dreamed about for many, many years. So that the pressure's going to be on his players anyway. So just say as less as possible in this situation. The spotlight is on them. They know that. Everyone's waiting for them to foul because one reason, because of their bottle, because everyone's talking about they haven't got the character to get over the line. And just embrace it. If you're an Arsenal player in the dressing room and say, come on, boys, let's prove everyone wrong. Because we can never, if we get over the line this season, no one's ever going to be able to label that at us again. So just embrace it. Take it on board. And take the fact that people are asking them if they're bottling it, because they're in it. And they're more than in it. Like I say, they got one game to win the Premier League. If they win next week, over. It's finished. Because the confidence, they'll win the rest of their games going into that. This is everything. This game next week is everything. And I just feel it's just match days when I just feel, when the fan, you've found yourself, Tom, when the fans are looking at that game, not only watching the players on the pitch, they're also watching the manager in the technical area and you're seeing how he behaves. And when things are not going well, the fans look at the back of your head as a manager and go, do something about it. Now, he's playing the game almost. He must be shattered, Mikel, after the game. He moves from this area, that. He must wear out that technical area. They must have returfed it at the Emirates there. Sometimes you just need to. I admire. Listen, I was very passionate. I want to be involved in the game. But your job is done. Just leave it up to them. Don't kick every ball for them. Just let them go and perform and take the shackles off them. No restrictions. They're 6 points clear for a reason. Because they're a good side, and they've shown they're a good side, and they've shown that they can find a way to win football matches. Let them do it, Mikel. Let them do it. You can't affect it now. It's over the line. You can make changes in-game. Of course you can. You can do what Pep did yesterday, where at half-time he weren't happy, couldn't wait to get in the dressing room and give it to them. But once they're over the line, I don't know, people will say, well, there's no more passionate man than Pep Guardiola because he gets involved in the game. Yes, he does. But the difference is he's won it. He's been there. He's done it. Whatever he does, he's right. Whatever he does. Because if you're always right, if you win as a manager, if people are always going to ask questions of what Mikel's doing, and I think Mikel's just got to leave it up to the players.
Right, OK, well, it's working for Pep Guardiola.